The Yemeni sky, once merely vast, tore open without warning. No countdown, no sirens, just a sudden, terrifying shriek ripping through the air, immediately followed by impact. Ras Isa, a vital Houthi lifeline, was under attack. The first explosion wasn't just concussive, it vaporized the northern pipeline junction instantly. The second slammed into a cluster of fuel tanks with such violence that flames clawed hundreds of feet into the night sky. Within a breathless 30 seconds, 12 more detonations followed, each striking with chilling precision. This wasn't random chaos, it was a sequence, a terrifying choreography. Someone had planned every fireball, down to the second. And they had. This was no errant drone strike. This was Package Delta, a coordinated, multi-phase U.S. operation hitting Ras Isa like a hammer. Fuel depots, logistics centers, underground tunnels, and a suspected command node buried beneath a storage facility all flattened. By the time the last ordnance found its mark, the once bustling oil terminal resembled a cratered moonscape. Houthi forces on the ground scrambled, stunned into silence. For years, Ras Isa had been sacrosanct, untouched even during the heaviest Saudi bombing campaigns. It was considered critical infrastructure, not a military target. Not anymore. The United States hadn't just crossed that line, they had erased it. The immediate question wasn't why they struck, but what powerful message they were sending with fire and steel. The last time a nation had hit an oil terminal this critical, it rewrote the rules of engagement for the entire region. This attack wasn't just about destruction, it was a warning, delivered in flames. Ras Isa wasn't merely a port for the Houthi movement, it was their bank account, their fueling station, their war chest wrapped in pipes and steel. Situated strategically on the Red Sea coast, this oil terminal represented survival. Millions of barrels of crude flowed through it, some refined locally. Others trucked inland to power armored vehicles or sold on the black market, funding their drone and missile programs. For years, the U.S. and its allies watched from orbit, meticulously noting the fuel transfers, the unusual traffic patterns, the surges in nighttime activity. Yet, no strikes came. Targeting such a facility, especially near civilian areas, was a geopolitical powder keg, risking global outrage, market disruption, and accusations of war crimes. The Houthis banked on this perceived untouchability. But something changed. One word: escalation. In the weeks leading up to April 17th, Houthi forces dramatically ramped up their aggression in the Red Sea. Commercial tankers were harassed, U.S. Navy destroyers faced radar locks, Reaper drones were shot down without warning, and a missile nearly struck a U.S. F-16. Their intent became undeniable. They weren't just resisting, they were daring the U.S. to respond. And when the dare came, so did the data. U.S. intelligence platforms, Triton drones, satellite sweeps, signals intercepts had quietly mapped Ras Isa's true role. It wasn't just a fuel hub, it was a critical relay point. Communications flowed through it. Officers held meetings there, mobile command vans parked nearby for hours. It had morphed from a refinery into a vital military node. The final trigger? Intelligence confirmed a planned weapons shipment was being staged at Ras Isa for regional transport. That confirmation was the green light. A target like this wasn't just flagged, it was assigned a strike package. And the planners didn't hold back. At 1:03 local time, the order crackled through secure channels. 3 simple words: Package Delta, execute. For the men and women aboard the USS Truman carrier strike group patrolling off Yemen's coast. This signaled the start of something mechanical, calculated, unstoppable. Package Delta wasn't a warning shot. It was the playbook for neutralizing a facility deemed an active threat. Within minutes, the sea churned with activity. On the Truman's flight deck, 4 F/A-18 Super Hornets were waved into launch position, armed with GBU-38J DA-MIS for penetrating hardened targets and AGM-88H ARM missiles to silence enemy radar. Each jet was loaded for surgical precision, not a mere show of force. As the catapults hissed, TA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft were already airborne. Their mission: blind Houthi sensors, jam their radar, and flood the airwaves with digital noise, creating the illusion of a phantom attack fleet. It was deception married to air power. High above at 55,000 feet, An MQ-4C Triton drone maintained watchful ISR coverage, its powerful cameras tracking thermal signatures, movement within the port, and faint electromagnetic pulses from underground columns nodes. It painted a perfect, real-time picture for the strike teams. At 1:17 hours, the attack commenced. The Growlers went in first, high and fast, crippling early warning systems and masking the Hornets' approach vector. Seconds later, the Super Hornets screamed in low over the Red Sea, hugging the waves at 500 knots. Their targets, locked hours before, awaited them. Target Alpha, the fuel tank cluster north of the pipeline yard. The first JDAM is struck like thunder from a clear sky. A wall of fire erupted as tanks ruptured, igniting chain reactions that consumed the northern yard. The heat signature flared on the Triton sensors, confirming secondary explosions. This wasn't just fuel. Ammunition or propellant was likely stored there. Simultaneously, at sea, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer opened its vertical launch system cells. Two Tomahawk cruise missiles streaked towards Ras Isa's southern perimeter, targeting a suspected underground tunnel entrance used for smuggling and a critical relay antenna. Both were obliterated. From the first Growler jamming run to the final Tomahawk impact, the entire operation took just 6 minutes. It wasn't combat, it was lethal choreography. The result, 17 confirmed strikes, 0 collateral damage outside the designated kill box. All primary targets neutralized. The physical damage was immense, but the impact ran deeper. What little remained of Houthi radio traffic dissolved into chaos. Transmissions dropped mid-sentence. GPS signals vanished. Radar sites went silent or passive, terrified of becoming the next target. Command structures didn't just lose fuel, they lost communication, coordination, and critically, Ras Isa, their untouchable gem, was now just smoke and ruins. High above, the Triton circled, listening. Silence. Panic, however, spread rapidly. Within an hour, Houthi command channels flickered with activity, then went eerily dead. Encrypted chatter spiked, then flatlined. Thermal imaging showed figures abandoning Ras Isa on foot, scattering inland without vehicles or gear. They weren't evacuating, they were fleeing. For a group priding itself on resilience, that panicked silence spoke volumes. Publicly, the narrative differed. Houthi channels posted grainy, recycled footage claiming to have downed a US drone classic misdirection. But satellite imagery told the true story. Entire sections scorched black. Storage tanks melted like candles, antenna towers buckled. Armed pickups sat abandoned, doors open, engines likely still warm. Crucially, there was no retaliation attempt. They were too shocked, too disrupted. Internationally, news of the massive US strike spread fast. Analysts debated the shift in US policy from targeting purely military assets to hitting economic nodes supporting the war effort. Internally, intercepted Houthi communications revealed frantic confusion. Find a working transmitter. What happened to Ras Isa HQ? Are we under cyber attack? They weren't entirely wrong to wonder. This wasn't a traditional bombing run. It was precision. Multi-domain disruption designed to disorient as much as destroy. The strike marked a fundamental doctrine shift. For months, US policy focused on containment and deterrence. Provocations were met with restraint. But the moment Ras Isa transformed from infrastructure into an active military node, the playbook changed. The Houthis had bet on American restraint and lost. Vaporizing a fuel depot sent a message far beyond Yemen. Tehran, Damascus, and Moscow heard it too. The message was stark. If civilian infrastructure is used to wage war, it forfeits its protection. Park a command van under an oil tank, and the tank becomes a target. Use a fuel depot to supply drones attacking global shipping, and that depot is fair game. The US didn't ask permission or issue warnings. It used intelligence, acted preemptively, and erased the gray area. Geopolitically, it was an earthquake. Oil markets wobbled, allies convened emergency sessions. The strike demonstrated a new US resolve, no longer playing defense on an adversary's terms. If it supports your war machine, it's a target. By sunrise, the smoke plume over Ras Isa was visible from space. The US strike group had already repositioned, assets refueled. The next phase potentially already drafted. The Houthis lost more than fuel. They lost their rhythm, their safe zones, and the comforting belief that some lines remained uncrossable. Now, every convoy, every radar activation, every nighttime fuel transfer carries a new, terrifying question. Is this the next target? Because when infrastructure becomes weaponized, it stops being protected. The fires at Ras Isa burned for hours, but the message sent would smolder for much longer.